Hi, everybody. It's Kim and Tina back again here, and we are going to continue our introductions to the horses that are a part of the Energy Equine and InHand Equine Therapy conditioning study that we've been working on here the last few months. So we've already gone through two, and now we're going to chat with Tina about the two that they have. Can you please introduce us to your first horse, Tina?
Yeah, I think we will start this with my daughter's Welsh pony. His name is Prince of Wales, but his little barn name is Prince.
Nice. And he is a little prince, that's for sure.
He is.
So he is obviously a gelding, I would assume, if he's a kid's horse as well as he.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he is an 11-year-old, like I said, Welsh pony, and you're right, gelding.
Okay. And how big is he? How tall and what's his weight?
So he is 13.3 hands high, and he's going to be in around that 950 range for weight.
And where does he, or what does his living environment look like?
So he is in at night and out during the day. He's in a 12 by 12 stall at night, and in the daytime he is in a large paddock. It is a flat surface in that paddock, and I'm sure like you at your house, Kim, it's been pretty icy this winter, so he certainly hasn't been moving around much outside, especially this last month. We have just been diabolical over here for ice, so it's definitely not a ton of movement outside, but he is turned out with one other horse.
Right. Okay. And what does his feed program look like?
So for his feed program, now he has not had any issues with his metabolism, but he is a pony. So we're quite careful with him. He gets fed 4 times a day for his hay, a flake in the morning, a flake at lunchtime, a flake, maybe a flake and a half at dinner, depending on the weight. Pete, my husband, feeds for us, and he goes more by weight than actual just using a flake. So if it is a smaller bale with, the smaller flakes in it, he does maybe get a flake and a half there. His dinner hay does go in a nibble net in the stall to try to slow the feed down and make it last longer. And then he gets a flake of hay again at night check that as well goes into a nibble net. And he is on beet pulp in the evening, dry weight, 1 cup. So before it's soaked, and it is soaked for sure for the 12 hours, soaked in the morning for the evening. But dry weight, that's a cup. And then he's on a half a cup of high fiber crunch, which is a low sugar concentrate. That's an extruded feed from the Step Company. He's also on Bio Equine for his mineral supplement. And then in his stall, he has free choice salt with both a iodized salt block and a Himalayan salt block.
Oh, nice. He is well decked out.
Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, he gets many, many cookies.
I can well imagine. Is there a specific brand he prefers?
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that, Kim, because one of your friends actually used him as one of her test cases because she's trying to make some low sugar cookies.
Yeah.
So as soon as she has those in full production, I think I better buy those.
Oh, yeah.
But right now we actually get cookies from a local lady that bakes them as well.
Oh, nice.
Yes, her name's Helga. So we are supporting local with our cookie addiction.
Very well cared for, Mr. Prince.
Yes.
So in order to eat all these wonderful cookies, what type of program do you have him on in regards to his general health care?
Okay, so his healthcare is farrier schedule is every 6 weeks. He is shod in front, barefoot behind. No issues with his feet at all. And as I mentioned before, never foundered or anything. So been on a good schedule that way for a pony.
That's great.
Once a year for his teeth, but he does get checked twice a year just in case there's anything. But this will be our 4th year with him, and was done here in the spring of 2020, and just on his regular yearly maintenance schedule for teeth. Vaccines, we do everything that's needed for show horse vaccines. We do use Energy Equine for our veterinarian. So they do the program up for us. So last year we did the 5-way, and we kind of just go with their recommendations for what we're doing with vaccines. So those will be done here in the spring.
Great.
We are on a 3-month worming schedule at our place, and we rotate through our wormers, as you should, you know, through bot season and all those kind of things. And then in the middle of winter, as per Dr. Dennis Rock, we used to work with him a lot from Moore & Company. He's retired now, which I'm sure anybody that use Dennis is sad about, but
Yes.
He always really recommended a 5-day panicure wormer in the dead of winter, just to make sure that you've got a good kill on everything. So we do that to usually mid-December.
All right. Well, he is very well looked after. I can vouch for that. And cute as a bug.
Yes, and kissed as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. That all goes towards the well-being of his overall health.
Totally.
Is there any other general or specific health issues then that he has? You mentioned you are treating him as metabolic, but just more because he is a pony as opposed to any
Yeah, I think just more because he is a pony. He does have a couple fat stores on the outside of his rib cage, but not enough of a appearance of metabolic fat stores, and not in enough locations of the body to really be concerned that we need to get him tested for metabolic. Never had a problem with his feet. But he is in with a horse that is metabolic syndrome, and because he's a pony, we're just super careful.
Yeah, makes sense. So what has young Prince been up to in terms of his career, his training and showing career?
So we got him, this is our 4th year with him. So 3 full years ago, we purchased him for my daughter. He was purchased from a wonderful gal named Lee McLean, who does a lot of pony sales in Alberta and is an absolutely fantastic horse trainer. And the history that we got from her was that she was saving him from a untoward location. So I'm not quite sure exactly what had happened to him in the past, but she comments often. We post a lot about Sir Prince and my daughter. They have a lot of fun together, and she posts often how she's so thrilled that a horse that came from such a poor background has found such a loving home. So sounds like he did have some poor history in his past, but I honestly don't have many details on that.
Right.
He was in training when we got him just for a couple months with a really excellent jumper gal that does quite a few pony jumpers. He did come from more of a Western background. Some Cowboy Challenge was kind of where he had come from, and what Lee was doing a little bit with him to gain his confidence back. So he had started just a snitch of jumping when we got him, and has continued that on. That's why we bought him, was my daughter wanted a little jumper pony. So has spent the last 3 and a bit years, like I say, this will be our 4th season with him, learning how to jump, and him and my daughter's gaining their jumping relationship going.
Oh, that's great. Any issues with his training in terms of times where he had difficulties or?
Yeah, he has been a challenge. I mean, it's been a great challenge for my daughter because she's learned a ton, but because he came from that kind of Cowboy Challenge background, his thought on obstacles was to stop, assess it, have a good look at it, and then crawl over it.
Right.
So as a jumper pony, not the best for just going and leaping straight over the jump. So we have had a challenge working through that. It has taken my daughter pretty much the full 3 years, but the end of last season and through the beginning of this winter before this pandemic hit us, she was really excelling. doing really well, kind of finally getting out of the X rails and starting into some 2 foots and 2 foot 3s, where he was feeling a lot more confident with her.
Mhm.
She is just a 11-year-old girl, so of course only has a certain amount of skills herself, but does work really hard at her riding. So they were working quite hard together, and had a really successful show season last year in the X's. Finally felt, in my mind, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I wanted her to really be able to nail that before we moved on too much. And I felt like we were actually at a stage where we could move on. So she had started to move on at the end of last season, and in some of these indoor winter shows this winter 2019 as well.
Great. Yeah, it's very unfortunate, obviously, what's happened, because it's put so many people in a very similar boat to Maddie in terms of
Yeah.
wanting to keep going or excel or go past a certain level, and now it's ground to a halt.
Ground to a halt, exactly. Which I think you and I have talked about a couple of times, Kim, is kind of the neat thing about him being in the study, because he will be the typical horse that most amateurs or kids were riding. They were Maddie was doing 2 lessons a week, 2 jumper lessons a week, was riding 5 days a week, and then I think I'd mentioned this to Kim lots before, but there won't be a day where my kid isn't down with her pony. So, he's getting something every day, and he's still getting something every day. It's just not, the amount of work, because all the barns are closed. So we're not able to trailer in anymore. We're not able to kind of do a lot of what we were doing before as far as conditioning. And it's been so icy the last 2 weeks for sure. We've got some sunshine yesterday and today, so hopefully we maybe get some of the ice gone. But we still have quite a bit of snow here, so it seems to just melt enough to make it like slick on top.
Terrible bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just really bad. So this will be the typical horse in that a lot of people are having in this COVID crisis, where all of a sudden your barn was closed.
Yeah.
And you were in a full program, you were doing your thing, and then now you're down to nothing. Or some barns are letting people come at a slotted time slot or work their horse outside.
Mhm.
Which I think this study and some of the exercises we're going to provide to people will really help with, because they're going to see that in Maddie and Prince's scenario, that they are right down to the groundwork, and fingers crossed we get our ultrasounds tomorrow. But this month, even with the COVID going on all of March and the start of April, that we've still got some muscle change.
Yes. Yeah. It will be very interesting to see what happens tomorrow with the ultrasounds, for sure. Yeah. So going forward, even though this may be a shortened show season, or if there is a show season to come yet, but what were Maddie's goals wanting to go forward with Prince and specifically with this program?
Well, I think her goals, my kid would show every single weekend if I would get in the truck and drive her and pay for the horse show. So she is a super keen kid, just wants to be out doing something with that horse all the time, and as it really loves competition. So I think my hope is, and I'm grateful to some of the places that are still saying the word postponement, because even if we could get some things done by the end of the year, maybe it's not the show season we're used to, maybe it's not the fancy judges coming in that we're used to, but really honestly just getting together with the other people that show at your level and getting out there would be amazing.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed that there's something by the end of the season. I know Maddie's 2020 goals, we're a big goal setting household. Before this happened, we're to be able to do a 2-3 for sure, and she wants to try to do a 2-6 course this year. So that seems high for the mummy, but that was the goal for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm wishing her all the best on that. I'm sure things are going to turn around sooner than we think. It hard to believe we've already been a month into this whole COVID crisis already. So here's fingers crossed that the next month goes just as quickly, and we can get back to a sense of normalcy anyhow.
Yeah. Well, and the neat thing about people watching Prince's progress through this will be that Maddie's done all her own work. So you don't have to be a professional horse trainer to see a difference with this program we're doing. She's, like I say, just an 11-year-old kid. She's super keen, and that is the thing that makes the most difference, is consistency. That you're out there, that you're doing the exercises. You know, they might not be done absolutely perfectly. Some of the ones where you lift the horse's legs up, she's just not strong enough to be able to get them done in as many repetitions as I'm doing, for instance, with my horse, or maybe Kim's, you're doing with your horses. And it really shows that the change can be made just by getting on a program that targets the body correctly and that you're doing consistently. So I think he'll be a really neat case study for people to follow.
Yeah, the variety of the case studies that we have, I'm really excited about, because they're very different in all of where they're coming from, either from rehab or lack of condition, or in Prince's case, being conditioned and now just trying to make some postural and continued progress with him as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Tina. Thanks for introducing us to Prince, and we look forward to meeting him in the video.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.